Greetings, everybody, and welcome to week 3. So, for week 3, as it says in the to do list here, we've got 3 chapters to go through chapters 3, 4, and 5, and the quizzes as well. Plus, you are preparing for the third lecture for Unit 1, the American Revolution, which I'll talk about in just a second here. And the due dates are right here. So, the chapter quizzes, they're open now, like everything else that's listed. Is April 5th, and exam 1 is April 7th. Okay, so that's kind of what we're going to talk about in just a second here. Let's click here, make sure everything's there for you. Here are the 3 chapters. The quizzes, like usual, are located at the bottom of the page. The 2 lectures are right here, and the exam is right here. So you will click on this. Make sure you are opening up Blackboard through the Lockdown browser when you are ready to take it. And please do not wait until the last moment. Technical issues happen. So I would suggest trying to get it done no later than Thursday. Again, as indicated in the orientation, if you happen to score better on exam 2, that score will be plugged into exam 1 minus 10%, right? So at 95 for, let's say you earn a 95 for exam 2 and a 65 for exam 1, exam 1 would become an 85%. Okay, let's see. One thing I want to touch on here is the American Revolution. So let me go ahead and click on that. I want to make sure that everybody is really focusing on this. It's a big one. The American Revolution is a big one. And so the major thing I want to make sure everyone understands with the thesis of this lecture is that it's pointing out the American Revolution wasn't just the result of a war. It wasn't just the result of a few disagreements post 1763 that erupted into a war in 1776. It was the American Revolution was a process that occurred from the beginning of colonization that had 5 factors that were involved in that colonization project. The first one being, as stated right here, the environment, right? The second one being the Enlightenment. The third one being self-government or salutary neglect. And the fourth one, economic independence. And then fifth is colonial unity. And then we go into more detail with the second part of that lecture. So that's the thing you want to keep in mind here is that colonial unity was the last factor listed here because it was the last thing to develop that would push them in towards finally declaring independence in 1776. The thing I want to touch on mainly in this week update is the Enlightenment, and particular this gentleman right here, John Locke, and his social contract.
So yes, John Locke, he's a biggie. We need to know everything we can about John Locke. But for purposes of time, I want to really focus on his second treatise of government in 1689, looking at the social compact theory that he developed, which basically focused on this notion that we all have inalienable rights to life, liberty, and property. So he basically made this argument that prior to civilization, human beings naturally had in a less complex society, had the natural ability to defend their life. They had a natural ability to defend their liberty, and they had a natural ability to defend their property. As societies and civilization grow and further development, this becomes particularly difficult to do for one individual. And so collectively, as individuals, we surrender part of our freedom, part of our autonomy to a government. And we do so with the understanding that collectively the government will protect our life, our liberty, and our property, right? So don't mess with me. I want to live. Don't mess with my freedom. I'm free to do as I wish and don't mess with my property. I want to make sure that I'm safe within my residence and where I live. Right? So incredibly important to understand that his writings in 1689 are going to be kind of lofty, great ideas in Europe and understood in Europe, but to put in practice are going to be difficult. Fast forward to 1763 when conflict erupts between Great Britain and the colonies. This idea of the social compact theory as articulated by John Locke is going to be put into practice by the so-called patriots, the people fomenting independence and revolution within the British colonies that is eventually going to lead to independence. So, and then this notion of life, liberty, and property, and that everyone is entitled to it, is going to foment this concept of revolution throughout American history, right? Obviously, the social compact did not apply at the time during the American Revolution to Native Americans. It definitely did not apply to people of African descent. It definitely did not apply to women during this time. However, once this theory is put into practice and is shown to successfully achieve independence using this line of argument, basically saying Great Britain no longer guarantees this social compact for us, more and more groups are going to demand that this social compact theory be applied to them as well. And we will first begin seeing this in the early Republic, in the early United States, with women. When we get to the Jacksonian period, for example, looking at the Seneca Falls Convention, when Cady Stanton demanded that all women are guaranteed the right to vote in the United States. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys understood a little bit about John Locke. For extra credit this week, give a thorough explanation of the social compact theory according to John Locke and how it applied to the American Revolution. So there you go. Take care. Bye-bye.